deep in the forests of North America, a creature is said to exist. A creature that people are encountering.
Seriously, look how big it is.
With far too many reports to ignore, there are elements of truth behind these accounts that mankind can no longer
It's
ignore.
created almost this obsession where I need to find out
Could the
more.
breeding population of large, upright, hairy hominids really exist in North America? Or is there something more paranormal at work here? D.G. Woods. If just one footprint, one wood knock, or one howl was real, then man's understanding of primate evolution would be changed forever. Join Glenn Purcell and the Catskill Appalachian Research Collective as they delve further into the mysteries of Bigfoot and other paranormal phenomena through the eyes of witnesses, investigators, critics, and skeptics. Join us as we look to discover what lurks from behind tall trees.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to tonight's episode of From Behind Tall Trees. We have a show we've never attempted to do before. I'm pretty excited about it, actually. I'm going to bring our guest out here in just a minute. We just spent an entire weekend together out in the Allegheny National Forest, so I'm super excited. He's kind of become like a Bigfoot brother to me. Remember, everybody, if you have any comments or questions, put them in all caps, and we will make sure that we ask, because I'm sure you're going to have lots of comments and questions tonight. So without further ado, let's bring on Bennett. Hey, Bennett, how are you?
Good. How are you guys? Or how are you, guys?
I'm good. I'm good. A little rattled with all the hurricane stuff going on, but other than that, I'm good.
I understand for sure.
So we just spent an entire weekend out in the woods in the Allegheny National Forest. Do we want to talk about that for like
it was complete jackass, right? But it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we had a great time.
We literally, so I've always found, especially in Allegheny, for some reason, it's like we'll get little bits of stuff, little bits of activity, day, night, day 1, day 2, but day 3, for some reason, every time I've been there, it gets going, like stuff like, I don't know if the powers that be are like welcoming to us, or like, okay, we accept that you're here or whatever.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem like a lot goes on until the 3rd day and night. And this was exactly the same way. Yeah,
it was, wasn't it? The first 2 nights were kind of like, oh my gosh, they must just not want to come out and play.
No, and it wasn't for us not trying. I mean, we were out there getting after it, but
oh my gosh. And that freaking noise that Josh made was incredible.
It's like a didgeridoo, man.
When he lit that last night out there, I walked down there with him and he fired that sound off, and I was like there was no warning. I didn't know that he did this. And he just belts this out, and I'm like, what the hell is that?
I can't remember what he called it. It's some type of rote singing.
Yeah, it was weird.
He's a musician, so. Plus, it's the first time I had ever met him, and he's cool. I love him. I think he's amazing. Yeah. So awesome.
I met him a couple of years ago on a BFRO expedition out there with Jeff and Julie and them. And it's kind of one of those things where I never saw him again after that. So I was kind of like, and the weird thing is we actually camped out in the middle of the forest. It was me in my tent, Josh in his burrito hammock, and Paul Matea, just the 3 of us out there. And I remember leaving thinking, that guy's effing crazy because he's in that damn burrito hammock tent that isn't right. Shit. Like,
it'd be like Friday the 13th, like that scene where like Jason grabs him and slings him around in the sleeping bag with instead he's in the hammock.
It's incredible. But so it was nice to see him again. And
I remember when I saw you once you got there, you're like, Jesus, I never see you again.
I know. I did not think, and I didn't even recognize him at first. He was like, hey, it's great to see you. And I'm like, who the hell is this? because he looks different, you know.
Yeah,
Looks
right.
a little more woodsy than before.
Yeah, but
The
he's such
beard
a
and
cool dude.
yeah, he's very cool. So I'm glad I got to see him again and interact with him. So it was
Yeah.
awesome.
And Jewel, so the guy I brought, Jewel,
Oh,
who's
he
a
was
buddy of mine, who's just the biggest piece of work on the planet.
I loved him. He was
Yeah,
awesome.
he's great too.
Yeah.
He's definitely a good addition to the, I don't know,
Yeah.
we could say team, I guess. But him and I are like we're research partners.
Right.
So we are out at his property all the time, which we call Broken Bridge Research Area.
Right.
Because there's a bridge that I'm convinced was torn down by Sasquatch because it doesn't want us on the other side of the creek, because it's just like miles of desolate forest on that side of the creek.
Right.
So either way, yeah, really cool. And he's just cool. And then him and Josh hit it off. Him and Paul hit it off. So it's cool. Definitely a good addition. And you know, former Marine. He's also a big, you know, into mental health and stuff. So he gets the whole. Yeah. It's really, he's a good dude.
Yeah, so. I liked him a lot. He was a lot of fun.
So
tonight we're going to talk about some Bigfoot conspiracies. I know if nobody has watched Bennett's podcast, he has a podcast called Broadcasting Seeds. I'm sure if you follow me, you've had to have seen his shows because I share them all the time, especially Sasquatch Sunday. I always am sharing those. They're very informative. They're very thought out. Your narrative of the segments is very spot on.
And nothing is untouched.
Nothing is untouched. Nothing. So this Bigfoot conspiracies is like right up the alley of everything we're going to talk about tonight. So do you want to tell us a little bit about some of the, I'm sure where you want to start. Where do you want to start?
Well, it's like you got so many. It's just like anything, but you know, everything from literally from is there a UFO connection? So many people think there's a Bigfoot UFO connection. There's, you know, what is Bigfoot? Is it a relic hominid? Right. All this stuff plays into all these conspiracies. And one of the big ones that I've been really researching lately, sorry, I'm switching screens all over the place, is and it's not just Sasquatch, it's also Dogman.
Right.
As guardians, I guess this is the best way to describe it. Guardians of restricted areas, right? Like the central idea is that sightings of Bigfoot and Dogman and other cryptids, maybe in remote, especially national forests, or just like public land, right? That are recreation areas. But some of these places are so remote that it would be so easy to hide like think Area 51, right? But think of Area 51 in the woods somewhere.
Right.
Like up in Allegheny, just for example, we've spent plenty of time there. There's places up there that, like, I don't know if people have been there in like 100 years.
Right.
But you get into some places that are even more remote, right?
Right.
Not just in Allegheny, but other national forests, especially out west. You get into some of these places. So the guardians of these a strangeness, right? A natural deterrent, scaring people away from areas where the government or maybe it's just other powerful entities don't want civilians wandering around.
Well, that would be an easy way to chase us all out.
Right. I mean, it's kind of, oh my God, like you come across that. I'm not going, I'm going the other way. See ya. Right. I mean, we're out there looking now, but usually we're trying to bring them in.
Right.
Am I right? We're not really out there like going through the woods. Not that we haven't, but I'm just saying, like, you know,
I mean, I'm game.
like hidden government installations or projects, things
Right.
like that. I mean, we have numerous remote military installations and research facilities, some of which are located in or near national forests. And if the government were to conduct sensitive experiments, housing classified equipment, it would make sense to discourage exploration, obviously.
Well, yeah,
right?
because I mean, the other ways of keeping us out, I guess I should say, is to put up big fences, put up big signs, but that just attracts us, I think.
Frankly,
Like
I
Area
know
51, they've got it all fenced off with big signs, and everybody's always trying to get in there.
but reports of terrifying creatures is going to keep people. I'm like, my kids are an example. My wife, hey, well, they kind of make fun of me. Hey, did you find Bigfoot this time? Did you take a picture this time? No, I didn't. Sorry. But I'm like, so why don't you come with me? Come
Right.
with me out to the woods
And see.
and see what I experience. And then we'll see how much you want to go walking around the woods.
Yeah, because I'm sure your wife and your girls are not as crazy as we are.
Ooh, no, not even close. So it's like, hey, I mean, I don't even know why we do it. It's slightly ridiculous and sometimes,
Oh,
not
yeah,
all the time, but it's fun, right? And
it
it's
is
something to
fun.
do. We meet really good people.
Yes.
At the end of the day, it's I mean, we're semi kind of doing it for a living.
Yeah.
A bunch of us, not all of us, but some of
Yeah.
us.
Right. Some of
Um,
us would like to do this for a living
correct.
because I'd quit my job tomorrow.
Right.
No, wait, let me back up. I would have quit my job yesterday
Absolutely.
if I could do that full time. Absolutely.
But luckily, some of us have been able to mold our lives to an aspect where we have freedom
Yes.
to do what we really want.
Right.
And or, you doing what you do, you love your job.
I do.
Me doing what I do, I love my job too, but that doesn't mean I wouldn't quit in a heartbeat.
Right. Yeah.
Now, I'm trying to even make it more, more involved with this.
Right.
But we'll see. We'll get there, right?
Yeah.
So, with that being said, there's just all these different that's a big one that I've been going into a lot lately, whether it's like guarding underground military bases. I mean, man, you can go literally, no pun, well, pun intended, go down the rabbit hole and really sky's the limit, right? But if you think about it, there's so many also reported sightings on military installations as well.
Right.
Everything from Dogman on Fort Polk in Louisiana to Bigfoot out, everywhere from or what would you call it? Is it Yucca Man? Is the version that's out west in the south, in like the southwest. Right. So like Fort Huachuca, I know there's I don't know if there's Fort Huachuca sightings, but definitely like 29 Palms, Marine Corps base, Camp Pendleton, places like that. There's sightings of that. And then Fort Lewis, Lewis McChord up in Washington, right outside Seattle. There's tons of sightings on that military base of Sasquatch. So who knows, right? But unfortunately, I mean, and there's not, it's just one of those things. It's like, what do you think?
Right.
I don't know. I've really been researching it a lot, but this, and there's some people in the cryptid community that will be like, it's just where these things are. It's fishy sometimes. Right. So that's that side of all of this, right? With the hidden government stuff. But you also, who knows, man, in the government nowadays, we talk about environmental preservation and sensitive ecosystems and stuff all the time. Right. I wouldn't doubt if there's like some, remember the that spotted owl up in Washington that they like stopped
Yeah.
clear-cut logging because of there's a big joke on military bases. There's what's called I think it's the red-headed cockaded woodpecker. And we're always the joke was when we were in, and this is down south, like Camp Lejeune, Marine Corps Base Camp Lejeune, and Fort Bragg in North Carolina. The joke was always we can't, because there's restricted areas where this woodpecker supposedly it's the last bastion on earth where this freaking woodpecker lives.
Right.
I was always like, dude, there's some shady shit going on in those areas, right?
Right.
So why not put Bigfoot in? It's just to scare the people away now. Now it's not even like, that's your environmental sensitivities and not wanting to make a woodpecker go extinct have failed. So now we're just going to put Bigfoot and Dogman in there to shoo you away, little human, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What else?
How do you think?
Go ahead.
Just out of curiosity, like if they are using these things to control or to keep us out, like to scare us enough that we don't go back into those areas and that keeps their secret safe. How do you think they control these creatures? Do you think they're controllable? I mean,
so that's where you run into the weird, like the stuff of what I mean, yes. So Sasquatch has we've had sightings that go back thousands of years, right?
Right.
So you have that, but what if, and this goes a little off the reservation, literally. What if you had, they basically captured some,
right?
Because how many times have we heard this story where, there's a Bigfoot in the area, and all of a sudden you see black helicopters and or UFOs or something, and then all of a sudden Bigfoot's gone, right?
Right.
So what if they took the biological engineering and stuff like that, right? Genetic manipulation, this aspect, basically experimenting on Bigfoot or Dogman, or who knows, maybe they could, like Dogman. I don't remember. I mean, there are tales that go back in time of dog men, right?
Right.
But to me, it seems more of a real, like a more of a modern day creation, right?
Right.
So maybe there's some hybridization, genetic island of Dr. Moreau stuff going on, right? So maybe they take this deep seated, like what I would call the uncanny valley that we have in our genetic code, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe they create these things, and that's how they manipulate them, is because they literally created them and control them, right?
Right.
Which gets a little off the, people don't want to go that deep into the high strangeness land of, perception and whatnot. But this is the thing, though. It's like, it just sounds crazy. But I don't know sometimes what to do to explain the stuff that we see on a normal basis, right? It's absolutely insane.
Mm-hmm.
But if you wanted to create a natural barrier, just the legends of these cryptids roaming these regions provides a psychological barrier that will deter so many people, that it is, I feel like there is a lot of the leveraging fear that authorities do, and they do it with all kinds of stuff. Why wouldn't they do it with Sasquatch, right?
Right.
So, I mean, like I did an episode not long ago about the Denver International Airport, right?
I know, that is so cool.
And wow, some of the stuff, like they have these murals, right? They have the blue Mustang Lucifer, which is a 30-foot rearing wild Mustang with red eyes. It's not called Lucifer, but that's just like what
Right.
our people have named it, right? But so you say this, right? You've got these things, and people are like, what in the hell? And the murals are very dystopian and whatnot. But at the end of the day, now the powers that be at DIA, which is Denver International Airport, have embraced it. And they're just like, okay, we encourage you to be weird. It's the same kind of thing at the end of the day. It's kind of like, yeah, maybe there is. Like, they'll just play along with it.
Right.
And there you go. It's that subtle protection, right? Give people a reason to avoid these areas.
Right.
It's really that simple. It's psychological operations. But I do believe that maybe there's some spots where they've got, the stories of Bigfoot and Dogman, and very reputable people saying, hey, this is right. This is here. And this is why I think they are, especially whistleblowers and people that have been exposed to the military and whatnot. Right.
Yeah.
So, and even if it's not real, it's indirectly terrifying to most people. So that fear and fascination stuff where we fall right into the, fascination part of it by the unknown and then we're also probably equally fearful of it, considering what we do to sleep at night when we're out there.
Right.
Whether it's set up cameras or sleep in our cars.
Motion detectors,
all those things, right? Like we set it up. Like people are like, well, why do you have the trail cams? Literally, I have trail cams set up on tripods, and I'm like,
he does,
because everything I've ever heard is they avoid
the trail cams.
The trail cams, and I don't want to get messed with, because I have been messed with when I slept. Right?
You want Bigfoot
like
rubbing on your head while
yeah, right. Like, hi, like coming in and pushing my tent down. No, I'm okay. I'm good. This is why we have like a fence around we have a fenced in area where we sleep in our research area, because it seems like every time that we don't have either the fence and or cameras, something happens at night, which is cool. But I really am freaked out when, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it's you want to be able to control something.
Hey, my big fear is waking up in the back of my car and looking out the window and seeing a face looking back at me.
Yeah, it's terrifying.
I will come unglued. You will hear me screaming like the little girl through that whole gap. I will scream.
So, I want to play the psychological warfare card too, for me, not just for the government or for Bigfoot or Sasquatch or whoever. It's because at the end of the day, they're still like, we have remote sightings, right?
Yes.
Where you're like, Jesus. I mean, I guess why wouldn't you live out here, right?
Right.
But then when you couple the disappearances, right?
Oh, yes.
So many disappearances, especially in national forests.
Absolutely.
And this theory like proposes that cryptids could play a role in discouraging or even deterring hikers and campers from stumbling upon stuff by, hey, there was a hiker that just disappeared here last week with no trace.
And you're like, well, I'm not going out there.
And where did that go? But what happened there? Right. And it just feeds into this whole psychological thing, right? But then on top of that, you couple the lack. Now, you and I talked about this when we talked about the 411 documentary. It's the shocking, not all of the cases though, right? But some of the cases, just a complete lack of investigation.
Yes.
Like, what? It makes no sense, especially in cases with clear evidence or witness testimony.
Right.
And the apparent, dismissal of law enforcement. It's just
Right.
like, what? Wait. And that blows my mind more than anything, really.
But you also have those cases where you have, I can think of two right off the top of my head, that they were seasoned hunters. They've hunted in that area that they go missing. They've hunted there
for like 40 years.
40 years, never had an instance, and then all of a sudden one day they go out there and they never come home. Like,
and it's not like they're hunting like by themselves. They've been hunting with the same people, like the same group of like 5 to 10 guys for 40 years.
Yes.
And there's never been an incident.
Yep.
And there's not a trace.
And it's not like they didn't go out there this one time by themselves, because all of these cases, they're out there with a group of people, and yet they still go missing.
And how many of these cases do literally, well, this is the joke. Like, we were walking, I think it was me, Josh, and Jewel were walking through the woods, and I'm like, yeah, this is the time when, oh no, this is what it was. I got it. It's when Josh went to, we went to out there with him to take a bath. He was going to take a bath in the creek.
Oh yeah.
Far down by the power where you cut across the power lines or the gas line. Sorry, not the power line, the gas line. And then there's that really awesome creek that runs through there. But there's some really clear pools, yada, yada, yada. Yeah. So Josh wanted, because he had been out there since Tuesday, and this was Friday.
Yes.
Friday or Saturday? Friday.
I think it was Friday.
This was Friday. So we were going out there, and we're like, and literally you have to break off the trail.
Right.
To go in. And this is why we went with 3 of us, because, even 2, you're kind of like, yeah. Paul was like, why don't all 3 of you go?
Right.
So all 3 of us went, and literally I made the joke, which is not a joke, but I made the joke because he's like, turn around, guys, in a joking way, turn around. I'm getting naked, And I'm like, well, I don't want to see any of this. So I'm turning around, and I'm like, yep. And this is the time when we're turned around, and all of a sudden Josh goes missing, and we're like, hey man, are you all right back there? It's been a bit,
Yeah.
That was,
and he never answers you. Sure.
But that's happened. That shit has happened. Like, legit happened.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing, like with David Pilates, who does the 411 stuff.
Right.
He has so many documented cases. It's staggering.
Oh, absolutely.
And it's not even him. And there's other people that do this too, right? So absolutely staggering. So, of course, people go missing. It's like milk cartons, all the kids and this and that, and who knows what. But like you're saying, these are people that know where they're at. They're with friends and family, and the next thing you know, they're gone. Like a goat, like literally, like they got abducted by aliens. So who knows? Maybe they did. I don't know. Maybe they got drug away by Bigfoot. Maybe they got drug away by Bigfoot and loaded onto a spacecraft. I don't know. Right? But these are the questions that we have to ask.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry. And if we don't ask these questions, or we don't think about them, what's the point, right? You kind of have to be open-minded about all this stuff. So
I think what David's asking here is Massacre at the Land Between the Lakes by the Beast.
Oh, yeah, the LBL.
Torn to shreds. And if they had a little girl who was found 20 feet up a tree back in the 70s or 80s incident that may have been covered up.
Yeah, so I know, I'm pretty sure I know the incident. I think if I'm right, it might be a different incident, but there's plenty of those at LBL, where especially there's one, I heard the guy, I can't remember which podcast I heard it on, but there was a guy who lived through one of these, and whatever this was, tore, and he said it was Dogman. It was like a Dogman, tore the family apart, and he like hid up underneath the RV.
Oh, wow.
And it was crazy. And I don't know if a little girl, so this is probably, it might be a different incident, but there's a lot of this stuff in LBL for sure.
Well, what do you make of stuff like that?
It's just like, I mean, it's one of those things too that we've talked about with the person I've really had conversations about it with is Paul Bogdan.
Yeah.
And, he'll talk about the different types of Sasquatch. So you've got these type 2s that are really like out in, no, none lived. Elio could not solve the case. David. Yeah. Yeah. There's a couple of the cases like that in Land Between the Lakes with a dog man type creature. Right. And with that being said, I think we also have this kind of plays into the idea of not all these creatures are the same. So maybe some of them have been modified genetically. Some of them are controlled by who knows. I mean, it could be like Luciferian occult control. I don't know. You know what I mean? But again, I think I can't stop my brain. And these are all the things that come into question for me. Literally, what if it's a demon that somebody summoned from the underworld and it's there to protect whatever they want it to protect, right? Or maybe it got loose. So we talk about, this is my ADD kicking in, so I'm trying to stay focused. The Paul Bogdan talking about like type 2 Sasquatches, that are more Neanderthal-like or more human. You know what I mean? Out in like Oklahoma area that are hyper aggressive towards people. Right. And we talked about too, some of the spots out in Washington state where there's hyper aggressive Sasquatches. Right. And people go missing all the time. Like they find bodies. So what's that about? Right. And it's like, we can have all the theories that we want, but I used to be a cop too. And there's just things that you see that sometimes you're just like, I got nothing.
Yeah.
And you can delve into the supernatural side of this, the paranormal side of this. Or maybe but it doesn't mean answers come. Right. But it's a theory.
Now you talked about, you briefly said something about like the genetic manipulation.
Yes.
So now I'm going to kind of go back and forth here for just a second. But for forever, our government said there's no such thing as aliens. We've not been working with aliens, blah, 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 blah. And then in the last 5 years or so, millions of pieces of documents have gotten declassified that show that they have known aliens have been coming here. They've been working with aliens, blah, 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 blah. Could these dogmen, Sasquatch, rakes, whatever you
freaking rakes.
I know
we haven't even gone there with the rakes, but
I know. But do you think this could be some kind of manipulation by the government to create like a super soldier?
Oh yeah, of course.
Because wasn't Hitler trying to do that?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
With monkeys or something, he was trying to engineer them to become super soldiers.
Yeah, and I can't, man.
Because let's face it, these creatures don't have the same kind of emotion and shit that we have.
Right.
Like, they're not going to look at some little kid and go, "Oh my gosh, I can't kill that kid." Blah blah blah. They're just going to pull the trigger and just do what they're trained and programmed to do. So, I mean,
did I pull that up? Damn it. It literally was a Nazi experiment.
Yeah.
I had it earlier today. And they were trying to they were trying to mix human and chimpanzee DNA. And this is a real thing.
Absolutely it was.
So potential mechanisms of biological engineering or supernatural ties are several possible explanations within the theory of how Bigfoot and Dogman came to inhabit these areas. So you got the genetic manipulation, And some believe that Bigfoot and Dogman might have been engineered. This is what I wrote earlier, folks, and I sent to you.
Yes.
Because now I can't, focus.
I made
But
notes.
Might have to have been engineered by the government or another organization as sentries for specific zones, like the idea of Bigfoot as a super soldier. This theory holds that genetic modification has created creatures that can survive harsh environments. So I know that they experimented with chimpanzee and human DNA and also gorilla and human DNA. Man, like seriously, that's terrifying.
It is terrifying.
And why wouldn't they? I mean, why wouldn't some of that take?
Right.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Literally when you talk about genetics and our world, I think most things are like 90 something plus percent the same.
Right.
Even like us with like, who knows, they're 90 plus percent the same. And I think chimpanzees and us are like or I think it's bonobos are our actual, closest living relative. And it's like 98.8 or 98.9.
Right.
So it's like, I wonder what horses and mules are. Right? Because horses and mules, they can crossbreed. Same with lions and tigers.
Right.
And they're different types of cats, right? So why not humans and chimpanzees? So yes. So, and what does that create, right?
Right.
So we've got all of that intentionally, that these cryptids might have been created to be a super soldier, patrol, deter, and cause terror with their physical presence, right? It's very possible. It would not shock me. I don't think it would shock a whole bunch of people that are listening to this or watching this. It wouldn't shock any of them, right?
Right.
It does seem far-fetched, but it's not. They'd be like, okay.
Not out of the realm of possibilities.
No. So then I would like to propose the other side of this, which is like the supernatural paranormal. And this even gets biblical.
Right.
And some people, like Scott Carpenter, swears that they're Nephilim. They're part Nephilim, right? Or something. Right. Some sort of thing. Because when he would get, I don't know if attacked is the right word, but I guess when he would get close encounters and he would rebuke them with the name of Jesus, they would back off. I've read that more than once in some of his accounts and heard him, right? But like Dogman in particular is often associated with Native American lore and stories of like shapeshifters and what's that called? Skinwalkers, which adds a whole nother layer of cultural mystique.
Yes.
Of that creature, at least, right?
Right.
But even on the other side of it is like extraterrestrial origins, right? Not only the government. Yeah, people doing CRISPR.
I don't know what this CRISPR is.
CRISPR is a way of, it is a actual like way to edit DNA or edit genes.
In their basement?
Genes or DNA?
Who the hell's got that kind of setup in their basement?
I don't know. Maybe David does.
You know what? It probably is David, because he does a lot with Krispy Kreme donuts. So that's
oh my God.
That's probably a front, right, Dave?
Hey, there's something beautiful about Krispy Kreme donuts. I don't call them donuts though. I call them power rings.
I think he lures us in with the promise of donut.
Yeah. So basically CRISPR is a vehicle to do well. And like he just said it right there, with the technology growing rapidly, the CRISPR at-home genetic engineering kits.
What do you just buy these on
being
Amazon?
sold to schools and homes interest in gene editing technology is at an all-time high, and so is concern. No shit. As our sci-fi fantasies inch closer and closer to fruition, gene editing is changing the face of genetic engineering on humans, plants, and animals.
Wow.
So it's just like, you know, high speed, low drag, genetic, you know,
Oh my
CRISPR stuff on Sasquatch. Or, you know, I mean, for God's sakes, there's so many theories that we're gene edited, you know. It depends on on what you want to believe, but
Well, I mean, I work on an ambulance. I could imagine that some people have been gene edited just because they're,
right.
you know what I'm saying? But I did not know this was even a thing that you could just do this in your basement.
Yeah. I mean,
Man, I got
yes.
some projects to get started.
Right. Exactly. Right. Oh my God. So then, I mean, so remember earlier we were talking about training or domestication.
Yes.
In an extreme version of the theory, some believe that the government has managed to communicate with, domesticate, or control cryptids like Bigfoot and Dogman. These creatures might have been released or conditioned to guard particular regions using techniques similar to animal training. This speculation draws from stories of Dogman being sighted on military bases and near governmental property. And that happens a lot.
See, Dogman to me is much more terrifying than Bigfoot.
Oh God, yes. And you're not the only one that thinks that. There's so many people, like, could you imagine? Well, we have a friend that had a hell of a Dogman interaction, and he broke down, and this dude runs through the woods by himself. Like, Jeff goes out there, like, he's like, I'm going down the road. It's by himself.
Yep.
And he doesn't give a shit. But that sighting had him
petrified,
tore up.
Yeah, he was scared.
So impact on public perception and behavior, the idea that cryptids are present to keep people out of remote areas. Self-policing, when people hear about frightening cryptid encounters, they're more likely to avoid these areas altogether, right? So this allows the government. I know, like, there's places where I've had some encounters, and yeah, like, people are like, yep, never going there.
I've heard that a lot.
And it was that simple.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of people say, I won't go back in the woods again, or I won't go in those woods, or I won't go in that. Yeah, I've heard that.
And now in the zeitgeist, right? The collective thing, there is a thing about national forests now. Stories of cryptids like Bigfoot and Dogman, national forests, all the disappearances in national forests. Like, even my kids are like, Dad, like, but when I really first started doing this, she's like, don't a lot of people disappear in national forests? Like, that's in the lexicon, right? That's out there. So and really, at the end of the day, it's, you know, sky's the limit with this. It really just, it gives them all the power. I try not to let it give them power about where I go and what I do, but I mean, where do we go with that? The theory that Bigfoot are placed there to, you know.
What if, for example, instead of Bigfoot being like guarding a specific area, what if Bigfoot itself is the creation of whomever, the government, I don't know, extraterrestrials, whatever, and the experiment is us?
I mean,
so you create this crazy, 15-foot tall, 1,500 pound creature, and you want to see what it's going to do. So you just kind of unleash it, and, here people go missing, people get the shit scared out of them, people get, touched through the tent and have their head brushed, and
all those funny things.
Oh my gosh, I've heard that so many times.
It's awful.
That's why I don't sleep in a tent. I sleep in my car.
So it can just come
Okay,
up and be like,
no,
in the middle of the night.
I'm gonna get a knock on the window.
Man, which has happened plenty too. I mean, you've lifted prints off of the cars.
I have.
So
I've lifted prints off my own car.
right. That's what I mean. It's crazy.
When I've been sleeping inside of it and I come
Right.
out in the morning and there's a handprint and you're like, I was in there. Like,
yeah. I mean, I kind of, so I guess to kind of not like wrap it up, but kind of give you my opinion. And I'm pretty new to this, but I'm not new to life, right? And I'm not new to the,
you were in the military, right?
I was in the military for 10 years as a law enforcement officer, and I've done countless ridiculous things in my life. And at the end of the day, I look at myself as a pretty level-headed person, but I also I kind of look at it through this Christian lens, I guess you could say, where I think there's something. If they were inherently evil, there would be a lot more deaths. I would agree with that. Is that Mark?
Yeah,
Mark.
right.
So I would agree with that, Mark. And I don't think that they're inherently evil. But I kind of look at it as like when we talk about, so even, I mean, we can go down the road like with the DNA studies that have happened, right? And one of those, not so much the Melba Ketchum one, but some of that stuff, I don't think it's as far-fetched as it seems, that we've got something that comes up with mitochondrial DNA as a female human, and the father being an unknown whatever. Right. It kind of plays right into the idea of, whether the father is, who knows, an angel, demon. I don't know. And it's not, it's like, I don't like going down that road necessarily, but it's one of those things that that theory actually makes a lot of sense to me. If it's not a blood and bone ape, bipedal human, hominid, then where are we going? Right. Because part of me sometimes, like, I'm like, yep, it's just a undiscovered, relic hominid, whether it's Gigantopithecus or whatever. Right. But then I look at the ability, like, it's so widespread, these sightings, they're so widespread. Thousands and thousands and thousands of sightings over literally eons.
Yes.
And yet we don't have definitive proof. So on that side of it, I understand that, you go out in the woods and you don't find black bear carcasses very often, but I have found a black bear carcass.
Right.
Never found a Bigfoot carcass. Right.
Right.
So it just seems so far-fetched, but yet, I mean, if you're a Christian, you believe in way crazier shit.
Yes.
Right. And it's not just Christianity. It's all religion.
It's all religion.
Even New Age, even let's go straight to the New Age with energy and all the stuff. You believe in some crazy ass shit because we know crazy shit happens in the world. Right. So why not? Why is Bigfoot so different? Like, the people that stand on the hill, like you and I have talked about this, people that stand on that hill and want to die on that hill of blood and bone. Why, man? Why not open your, I'm not dogmatic about any of it.
Right. But these are the same people that go to church every Sunday that believe in an invisible force that created the earth, and we live by some invisible rules that they laid down.
Right.
Like,
as some people would say, a spooky absentee father figure that lives in the sky. Right.
But if you can believe,
I don't believe that. But at the end of the day, so many people do. Like, they have a hard time believing in that, and the resurrection and all the supernatural stuff. And even people that say they're Christian, like, have you actually read the Bible? And like, you don't believe in any of the supernatural shit except for that Jesus rose. Like, bro, we were having wars with freaking giants, literal giants.
Like wheels of fire
Yeah,
came out of the sky down to
right.
the earth.
So why is this so far-fetched? It's just not. To me, it's not, because, I mean, we
Right.
talk about there's dragons and stuff. I mean, come on. Minotaurs and cyclopses, and even if you step outside the Christian lexicon and go into the Hindu and the Greek mythology and the Norse mythology and all these things, I mean, there's so much stuff that comes together
Yes.
that are in common with all these different religions, right? That, you've got big G God, and then you have all these little G gods everywhere, right? Now, we can go down the road of being, okay, so we have all these little G gods, which they're not the big G God, but they all want to be
Yeah.
big G God, right? And they can do all kinds of crazy stuff. Why can't one of these create Sasquatch?
Yes.
Whether it's I mean, you could go down the road of L.A. Marzulli, who a lot of people respect and a lot of people don't, but a lot of people do. And some of the theories on the breeding program, like they're literally breeding an enemy army. Maybe these beasts of the earth are waiting for a command from God. Yes, maybe they are, because, well, they also talk about the beasts of the earth, right?
Right.
So yes, why wouldn't it be? Why wouldn't they be the beasts of the earth just waiting? So, man, you could talk about this for hours. You could literally just go down, and but I encourage people to look into this. This is why my podcast is called Broadcasting Seeds, because I'm literally want to implant seeds in people's minds to get them to stop just being so dogmatic about everything. You can use this in your whole life. It's why I go through such a broad spectrum of topics, right? From spiritual warfare to Sasquatch to voodoo, the Rokaroo. Good book to read is First Man, Then Adam. Yes. Man, if you will, was here first, then came Adam. Adam and Eve had sons, then married. Where did the wives come from? Correct. So I've also thought of this as there's all kinds of shit that was I've never been the one that was just like, it was, Adam. I mean, because we could even talk about the whole idea of Adam. A lot of people think Adam had a wife before Eve named Lilith. Had a couple run-ins with that chick. Just saying. That's a whole nother podcast.
We'll come back.
Holy crap. That was just, yeah. But beasts of the earth, there's all kinds of stuff that could have been created, was created. I mean, I feel like too, some of the Bible's very narrow in what was actually, written or what was given down. And maybe some people didn't. Maybe people back in the day didn't want to translate the fact that, there's all these creatures. And this is part of the idea of the flood, right?
Right.
That was to wipe out all this stuff. But it wasn't. And we know that it wasn't. And even the Bible says it wasn't when it comes to giants and Nephilim and things like that, right? That there were still, and there were still angels that had fallen that weren't in the pit, that weren't cast down to the pit yet, that still manipulate stuff every day. Right. So yes, it's again, slippery slope. And a lot of people don't want to hear it, but at the end of the day, it's just as viable as anything else, really, any other theory, in my opinion.
There's a lot of things that happen with Bigfoot. You can look up the thousands of experiences that people have had, either a sighting or an actual encounter with a Bigfoot, where very strange, unexplainable things happen. And like, how do you explain how 1 second something is standing in front of you and the next second it's not?
Right.
Or how do you explain the footprints in the snow and in the middle of your yard? They just stop.
Which you've had to deal with.
Yes.
I mean, like you'll follow a track literally and then whoop, it's gone.
And you're like, where the hell did it go? Like, did it?
Doesn't make any sense, right?
Where did it go?
Did it walk through a portal?
Right.
Did it just, do we only get to see what they want us to see? That's what a lot of people think.
Good question. That's a very good question.
Do we only see what they want us to see? Because I'll tell you, some of my experiences, I don't understand how I didn't see.
Right.
Because they were right there.
Mm-hmm.
Something was right there. And I
Something
can't tell
very
you
large was
something
big.
very large was right there. And really smelly too.
Yes.
So, and then there's such a disparity, like between like some people have smells, some people don't. That's something people are like, oh, I think they can turn it on and off. Right. Again, we don't know shit. Comes down to we don't know anything. Yeah. So here we go. The moral of the show tonight, folks, is that we don't know shit.
Because we don't know shit.
Yeah. And
see,
I guess the faster that we realize that we don't know shit, the better off we are.
But that's the part that gets me the most frustrated, because you get these people that camp out in their camps, flesh and blood, paranormal, alien, dimensional, supernatural, whatever, and they are diehard in that camp.
Yeah, and they'll go to their grave,
and that's just it. And I'm like, how do you explain some of these things? Like, how do you...
they'll go to their grave standing on that hill, and I just think just does a disservice to the whole community, like that we can't
to not have an open mind and let the evidence take you where it takes you. If you walk into a science project with a preconceived notion of how it's going to go, everything you find, you're going to influence it in the direction you want it to go in.
It's just like this whole like flat earth, round earth. I mean, it's all the different camps. Like even just everything, like we learn shit that's new every single day. Absolutely. Right? About everything.
Mm-hmm.
So what is any different about any of this? I mean, we don't need to be so dogmatic.
Yeah.
We all want the same thing.
We do. We all want the answers.
So-called normal people call them crazy while sitting on their couch drinking coffee. Absolutely. Who is David Lester? Who is that?
Oh, he is my friend from Virginia. I love him and his wife.
I already like him.
I can't believe
I don't even know him.
Not on here. Yeah, David doesn't miss a show.
That's awesome.
He's awesome. Yes. Him and his wife are very awesome.
So, yeah. I mean, so many different manifestations of this being that we call Sasquatch or Dogman or whatever. But since it's got knockers, Sasquatch, right?
Yeah.
So I have a guy around the corner from me. This is really funny. He's a big Buffalo Bills fan, but he's also obviously a big Sasquatch fan. He's got this, one of the big cutouts in his yard.
Yeah.
And he's got a Buffalo Bills flag next to it, and it says Patty across the bottom.
Oh my God.
And I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. But so this manifestation, there's so many different manifestations of this creature. I mean, what? Angels, demons, supernatural beings, Sasquatch is just another part of this puzzle, right?
Absolutely.
Fallen angels, Nephilim, elusive nature, spiritual warfare.
Yep.
What if it's just also working to keep us distracted or confused or even,
I say that all the time. They put something out here to get our attention.
Yeah, well, it's bread and circus, right?
Yeah.
It's just a different form of bread and circus because
Mhm.
I don't watch sports.
I don't watch
I
sports
used to, but it's funny how I used to watch sports a lot. Now all of a sudden this is my thing. Bread and circus, right? Army, retired Army and deputy. Mom, donuts.
Making donuts now.
Making donuts now a couple days a week. 2 careers gone. Now got, yep, same here, man. I'm retired military and I've got, I worked for the VA for a long time doing mental health stuff and I couldn't do that anymore. I just burning me out.
Yeah.
And now I just do my own thing.
Now you hunt Bigfoot in the woods.
Couple businesses and Bigfoot. So,
Well, we've been out in the woods twice together in the last year.
Yep.
And one of the things that I note every time I'm in the Allegheny National Forest is that there are sections that are fenced off.
yes.
Like driving through the park before we even get to where we camp, there are sections of the National Forest that are fenced off. And I'm talking a 6-foot tall wire fence.
Yeah.
What is that?
Well, so there are a bunch of areas where they say that they fence it off for deer, which I don't understand. And like
But it's
me and the guys are
forest,
talking
right?
about this. Right. So I don't understand if they want to keep them in a certain area, because here's the thing. A lot of these fenced off areas, you do have access to them. I mean, you'll see there's arrows that say gate and they're pointing. Right. But there are other areas that are fenced off that you can't get into.
Or you're not supposed to.
Or you're not supposed to. Correct. Whether it's a hunting lease or whatever it is, I don't know.
But it's weird.
And there's plenty of remnant military stuff.
Yes.
I've seen plenty of military stuff, and I'm not saying like vehicles and tanks and shit.
No.
But like stuff like clearing barrels and things that
Water
hold water tanks and other things
and
that are just that's weird. They're like out in the middle of the freaking woods for no reason.
Right.
That are probably military in origin. So I don't know. Like, who knows? I mean,
oh no, David, the hole was there, buddy.
Glenn's cutting holes in fences.
No.
No.
Yeah, we may or may not have snuck into
restricted area.
This weird area that's fenced off.
There was no. I mean, anybody could do it. It's not like.
I mean, the hole's there. You just
see. Here's the thing: in the space where we've stayed, all of our encounters come from that side.
Yes,
at least mine have. Everything from the watcher that we had on Saturday morning.
Yeah.
That unequivocally I didn't see it, but unequivocally was there.
It was there.
To and the origin of that came from that area. The crazy screams that we've heard, certain knocks and samurai chatter that has been heard by multiple people. It all comes from that ridge line.
Yes.
Now, I mean, it is the high ground in the area, right? And I am a firm believer that if you give them the high ground, that's what they'll take. Right?
Absolutely, because they would rather look down on us.
Of course. So, but it's just kind of funny that is absolutely the area where they would prefer to go. And this time it was a little different because we had a camper blocking the fire area. We did the last time too, but you could still see over the top of it. Now, this time you couldn't.
No.
It's top secret, Mark. Yes, it is, Mark. So, but at the end of the day, you couldn't see over the top, and I caught the watcher over off the side.
Right.
So It's just,
And then later that Saturday, because that hunter scared it away.
Yep.
I went to save a white caterpillar, the poisonous ones that'll
yeah,
kill
yeah,
you.
yeah.
Yeah, that is a bunch of shit. Because I save like 30 of those every year, and I'm still here. So this little caterpillar almost climbed into the fire pit. So I scarped him up and I walked over to the edge of the woods there where your car was parked.
Yep.
Put the caterpillar on the ground, and I went to turn around and something took off.
Yeah.
Something big. And I was like, well, that hunter scared it out of that area over there. So I think it came around,
Circled around to the other side
circled
because
around and was watching us from over there.
yeah, because we'll get it over there every once in a while too, in that spot, but it's not as easy to get to because it has to go
Right.
It's got to loop around.
Right.
They have to loop around, whatever you want to say. But yeah, they would much rather be sitting up on that ridge,
Absolutely.
just watching. And
Now, I was never in the military. However, I have been a hunter. I've hunted my whole life. But that going up to a higher vantage point to look down at your targets, I'm going to say were targets.
yeah, absolutely.
That's a military type of thing.
Yeah, for sure. It's also a nature type of thing.
You think it's
I
a
do.
nature type of thing?
For predator, well, I guess it depends on the predator, right? But it's human instinct. I know that. So, or it's intelligence, right? Because there's a reason back in the day that they always put castles on the high ground, right?
Right.
And it's because it's easier to defend. It's easier to attack from in a lot of aspects. So it's just one of those things, like, because, now I don't think necessarily like a tiger has, I mean, other than running downhill, you can run faster. Right.
Right.
But the high ground itself just has,
I don't know.
advantages.
I just at the end of the day, this is a creature that we are, strength wise and killing ability wise.
Well, this is why it's got
nothing compared to this thing.
Yeah. And this is why you have to say it's intelligent, right? Why would anything less than that would just be crazy. It's got intelligence that we don't even, it's as intelligent, if not more.
Yes,
or in different ways that we are, if this is what we're dealing with, right? I mean, there's no other explanation for that, in my opinion.
Right.
So, we're probably dealing with, if it's not, it's not some sort of ancient hominid human type. I mean, come on, man. There's so many, we don't even know how many ancient hominids there were. I mean, at one point in our world, we had 6 different humanoid hominids living on the planet at the same time. We just happened to make it out alive.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't even count all the different types of ape. We're just talking about human species.
Right.
Whether it's Neanderthal or Desnovians or Homo florensis or whatever Hobbit is down in Indonesia, things like that. And we also know that most of us have either Neanderthal or Desnovan DNA or both mixed in with our human DNA, right?
Yeah.
So at one point, 6 different types of hominid living on the planet. So what's another? What is so far-fetched about that? And maybe they're even more evolved. Who knows? Just different, right?
Yeah.
Just like we think about the way that our technology is, right? Right. But we can't recreate the pyramids the way that they were built. We can't build them. We don't know how it was done. And you can't do it with the same machinery.
Right.
So what's that all? I'm just saying this because stop being so pigeonholed by things.
Right.
So what's so far-fetched about Sasquatch and Dogman being guardians of, I mean, who knows? Maybe they're even guardians of like Native American burial grounds or something. It doesn't have to be government installations or stuff. I mean, that's one of the conspiracies, but there's also that theory. Studnovian DNA. Yeah, you do. It doesn't have to be some crazy conspiracy though, you know. It can definitely be it's gonna be so much. Again, you don't know shit.
You do have to wonder though, because I mean the government kept from us all these years about the aliens.
Yeah.
You have to wonder if they don't know more about Bigfoot than they let on.
Well, I mean, who knows if they're even aliens, right?
Right.
What if they're, I mean, some of these people that are out here floating around that have pretty big names and big budgets and are making movies and writing books say that that aliens are nothing but demons. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And that they actually, or don't even start going down into like hollow earth theory.
True.
What if Bigfoot lives underground? What if they're from underground? There's giants underground. There's all this crap cities and everything underground. Because do we really know what's in the middle of the earth?
No.
I mean, it could be literally Godzilla for all we know. Right?
That's going to bring a lot of those Jap movies to life.
Holy Christ. You know, I mean, haven't we watched enough Godzilla movies? Don't we know what's in the middle of the earth?
King Kong versus Godzilla.
Right. Shit. There's a whole nother universe down there. I don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Again, I guess I wouldn't be surprised. Everybody tries to put makes order of this chaos that we call life. Yeah, you have to
put things in neat little packages.
Right, in little boxes full of ticky-tacky. Everyone
except for us.
That song from the theme song from the show Weeds kind of says it all about America. Little boxes, you know. Yeah. And everybody wants to put everything in a box.
I just like my boxes scattered out on the floor, all dumped into the one big pile.
Yeah.
You know, all of my monkeys and Sasquatch and Dogmen are just running around like crazy.
Yep. Tearing shit up.
No order to anything.
Oh, exactly.
No order to anything. Oh, gee.
Lizard men. Yeah, man. I mean, come on, bro. The reptilians and the Nordics. We got so many different types of alien to talk about too. It's never ending, right? So
could that be now that you saying about lizard man and alien? I was like, all of a sudden it like popped into my head, like supposedly the government made a deal with aliens that they could have X amount of people every year, blah, 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 blah. So is like that where all of our missing people have gone? They've made the same deal with Bigfoot and Dogman.
Yeah, sure.
You can have
X amount.
Bennett and Gwen out in the woods. Feel free to take them. It's okay.
You know, open season this weekend. You know, weekend pass.
Yeah, weekend pass. What happens in the woods stays in the woods.
I mean, at the end of the day, though, think about it. If like a creature like Sasquatch was proven to exist.
Oh my God.
What would that do? It would shake the foundation
of everything,
of several scientific fields, right? From biology to anthropology, even history, right? Mm-hmm. And suddenly we'd have to acknowledge the possibility that we don't know nearly as much shit as we think we do, right? About the natural world and all of that. And it's kind of like the Graham Hancockitis, you know, like he shakes up archaeology all the time, right? And it's just we're just scratching the surface. And if these creatures aren't just some relics of the past, but there's something more than that,
right?
What if they're tied to government experiments? What if they are tied to secret military projects? Or dare I say, a kind of biblical and supernatural phenomenon that certain agencies would rather keep under wraps. I mean, what's so far-fetched about that? It's not that far-fetched.
You know, I often say that every conspiracy theory that's out there has a shred of truth to it, because these things all come from somewhere. Like, and usually it's because somebody's on their deathbed and they want to get something off their shoulders. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they tell
Something
this
off their-
outlandish story, but they're dying.
What if they
inside.
got to lose by telling
Right?
you, right?
What do they have to lose?
Yeah.
They're dying anyway.
Yep.
Those are the stories that are absolutely insane and that
Mhm.
make you question everything that the government does. Because let's face it, they hide shit from us all the time.
Men in Black come from and are watching us. Yeah. True story.
Which brings up another point. I have a research area that I really need to get out to. I haven't been there for a short while, but the homeowner that's there tells me about Bigfoot. He tells me about UFOs. He has described to me black SUVs sitting down the street, and when he comes outside, they quick take off. They followed him to work. Like, it sounds insane, but is this like what is this? Like, what are they like?
What are they
There has
hiding?
to be some kind of connection, because
I mean,
this is a regular guy who goes to work. He's got a family. He's got kids. Like what the hell is the government doing, stalking him or following him wherever?
right. And I mean, what we also have so many stories from people that have started asking these questions too loudly,
Yeah.
right? Shit, you might find yourself on the receiving end of some serious pushback, right? Whether it's Men in Black or who the hell knows. I mean, reports of people being silenced are out there, warned off their investigations. I mean, these aren't just urban legends, right? Not from some people. Like, we've heard them tell their story, right? I mean, maybe they're full of shit, but who knows? They're out there.
Absolutely.
Is it all just paranoia? Maybe they're paranoid schizophrenic. I don't know. Maybe.
Yeah, but you have
but we can't ignore the sheer number of credible individuals,
right?
Who come forward with stories of strange governmental involvement in Sasquatch research. Right?
Right. Now, I'm not going to name the show, but there is a show on TV currently that in past seasons have been in certain spots in the woods and have had helicopters fly over,
right?
Or
absolutely,
military planes kind of scoping them out. And so, are they getting close to something that they shouldn't be getting close to? Like, I think it's I don't know if it's Oregon or Washington, but there's a section of forest that has a military fence around it. What? Why? It's in the middle of the fucking forest. Like, are you hiding Bambi? Like, what's happening?
Right. I mean, I always just go back to the question. Scientists, doctors have been taken out. Yes, they have. Some say because they're getting too close. And I keep asking the question, what if the government isn't just covering up Sasquatch to preserve the status quo, right? What if there's something more to all of these creatures, right? And it goes back to something that could challenge our very understanding of humanity's place in the world, right?
Right.
People suggest, so many people, researchers suggest that Sasquatch is nothing but flesh and blood creature, right? But something more is going on, something supernatural or even biblical. And to not see that, again, you know, it just boggles my mind that people don't give it credence. So you'll believe in it, you'll believe in some of it, but that's just too far. So
I mean, because we have heard weird, crazy stories from the Allegheny National Forest.
holy shit, freaking raptors and portals and
Spaceships
literally like Pueblo, you know, like the Pueblo Indian shit up on the side of a cliff, you know, and then, but like the next day it's not there.
Right.
Stuff, right? Like, and more UFO stuff than I can.
And even Paul said to me this past weekend that there are military things out here in the Alleghenies that we have not seen or we don't know about, but they're here. And to me,
I mean, there's all kinds of stories about UFOs coming out of the reservoir.
Yeah.
All kinds of shit. I mean,
inverted footprints, mutilated animals where there's no blood left of them or around in the area, but they're completely drained of their blood.
Yeah.
But there they are.
It's like all the things.
It's got all the things. Like,
but it's like, yeah, it's definitely a high strangeness zone. There's you just know it when you're there. It's just an energy.
But you know, for forever they said UFOs aren't real. We're not, you know, working with the aliens. We're not this, we're not that. And then they come out with it and we were all like, we knew it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, stop, Jay. Finally, you know, you've told the truth.
Yeah.
So I don't like, I've heard people say that we are not prepared or the government thinks we can't handle the truth. But dude, we knew all about the aliens all this time.
Like, yeah, I just don't think that it matters. I think that it's going to happen when it happens. And, you know, everyone's going to get shocked into reality at some point.
Yeah. And we're all going to be going, we knew Bigfoot was real.
Yeah, exactly. It doesn't surprise me whatsoever.
Yeah, we've been chasing him around the woods for how long now? So, you know, thanks for finally confirming it.
Thanks for coming. Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Yeah.
Thanks for showing up.
That's great.
Captain Obvious. Thanks for showing up.
I'm still going to go out, aren't you?
Yeah. Can't stop me. You can't hold me back.
I know they're real.
Yeah. I mean, and it's just like the other stuff too, like ghosts, all of it. Like, I've been on many a paranormal escapade and, you know, played with all the gadgets and all the dowsing rods and all the shit. I've done it all.
That's how I started.
Well,
I started.
Me too. That was kind of like, but my great gateway to this shit has all been Sasquatch, right?
Yeah.
But I've been doing conspiracy and paranormal stuff for quite a while. Well, really since I was 18. So I'm 50. So the better part of 20 or 50, I can't even do math. Jesus Christ. But anyway, a long time, a long damn time.
Like 30 something years.
Yeah. 38 years. No, 30. Fuck. Come on, man. I'm not a mathematician, obviously, folks.
Thank God for that, right?
Oh, goodness. I'm just a podcaster. That's all I do. And I walk around in the woods chasing and doing jackass stuff.
Yeah.
Getting excited.
I'm imagining that one of these times they're going to be in the Allegheny National Forest and we're going to end up on a list somewhere.
So I'm already on a freaking list. That's a guarantee. I know I am.
Now the government's going, who's that girl that's out there in the woods with Bennett? Because we need to find out who she is.
We need to figure this out.
Yeah. I'm going to come missing one day.
This is why we have satellites going over us all the time out there. Like I literally am pointing satellite. He's like,
look, Gwen, there's a satellite. I'm like, Jesus Christ, how many satellites are out here?
A gajillion.
It was insane the amount of satellites that were flying over us.
So it's not all. It's not. You know, I think it's mostly Starlink, but either way. Yeah. Fun times.
Yeah. Never a dull moment though, is there?
Never. Nope.
What do you make of the mind speak stuff? Have you ever had
I've never really had, and I've had a couple times where I got I hear people talk about getting zapped and I feel like maybe I have, but it's never been like a direct thing. But mind speak, I've never heard it. I've never gotten like reached out to
Okay.
and directly like spoke to in my mind. That's never happened to me. But I have definitely had some instances where I got an uneasy feeling where maybe something was coming at me or who knows, infrasound. I don't know.
I've
Some
been
sort of,
I've been hit with infrasound twice,
yeah.
and it was not a good feeling.
No, yeah, and that happened to me this weekend too. Like all of a
Good.
sudden I just got really sick to my stomach and some things. And it was like there's no reason for that to happen. That doesn't happen to me. So
And I have never had the mind speak thing, but I will tell you, because I don't think I told you this. I did tell Paul that I had a weird thing happen on Friday night. So I was asleep in my truck.
oh yeah, you did tell me that.
Did I tell you about this? And I had it was like somebody was sitting next to me screaming in my ear, and it went, "Hey," like that. And that was it. And I sat straight up in my truck and I looked around outside, and everybody's in their tents. The fire is dead. But something screamed, "Hey," in my head. And I've never had that happen before.
Yeah.
So it was very weird. And Paul and I talked about it on the way to breakfast, because I was like, I got to talk to you. And he's like, what? And I'm like, I got to tell you this weird thing, because this has never happened before. And it was very weird. And I don't have any explanation for it.
Right.
Because I have a lot of, and I know people think I'm crazy, but I don't really care. But I've had a lot of interactions with something at my home. And that's something I believe is at least 2 Bigfoot. I think there's a juvenile and an adult here, just based on some things that have happened here. Yeah. And it's not all the time, but it is kind of all year round, but sporadic. So it's not like it's not happening every day, but it might.
If you also believe that they live where they live, it's not like it's right around the corner.
No. So they're kind of in and out of our backyard.
Right.
But I have never experienced that before. So that to me was very odd. And I wonder if these are a flesh and blood creature, like what I'm having a real hard time understanding the whole mind speak thing. Lots of people have experiences where they say they speak to Bigfoot.
So many.
And I am not here to say that I don't believe them. I find it very, I don't know how to find it. You know what I mean? I've not had that experience. So I just kind of chalk it up to, I don't know if that's what's happening. Because I don't know what's happening. But Friday night that happened, and I don't have any explanation for it.
Yeah.
Nobody was there.
Yeah, we were all asleep.
We were all asleep. And literally when I laid back, I kind of sat up and I looked around, and obviously there's nothing, there's nobody, nothing's looking back in my window at me. And I just kind of, that's the first thing I do.
Your worst nightmare.
Yeah. Like, oh shit. If I look out the window and I see Bigfoot looking back at me.
I'm so surprised you don't have like the coverings for your windows, but
well, I mean, they're tinted. You can't really see.
I guess you're right, but
they're tinted.
You can. I admit, I guess I'd have to have it so I can't see out. This is one of the reasons I like having that blackout tent that I have.
Yeah,
because I can't see shit.
Right.
And I kind of like it that way. Ignorance is bliss, folks. Sometimes, especially when you're trying to sleep.
When there's Sasquatch around.
Yeah, exactly.
Because how creepy would that be? You open up your eyes and you look out the window.
Oh my God. That would just, nope.
Dude, I hung my car keys there so I could hit the panic button.
Yeah. Well, I do that too. You know that.
Yeah, I absolutely do. They're hanging right there. I'm like, if I look out the window and I see something look back at me, I'm hitting the panic button on my car.
Yeah. Because I regularly wake up between 3 and 5 every.
Yeah.
I'm sitting out there. I'm sitting outside at 4:35 in the morning, stoking the fire. And
You're insane.
nobody's even up for another 2 hours.
Right.
But
But you're sitting out there by yourself.
I am.
Which is insane.
A lot of times I do, I hear a lot of shit, and it's one of those things like the military, and some the veterans that are on listening would know. We have this thing called stand to when you're out in the field or at war a lot of times. And it's when it's before, what do they call that? Before early twilight or something. I can't remember the damn phrase, but it's like the best time to attack because you can't see shit. It's that time right before sunrise.
Mm-hmm.
I was listening for him to scream, meaning me. That's not going to happen, Mark. That's not going to happen. But either way, that's the time when people like things like predators are out and about and all that stuff, and deer move and a lot of that stuff, because it's you can't see really great.
Right.
In that time, and your eyes play tricks on you. It's the same thing at sunset too, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
That dusky stuff, dusk and dawn. And so, and then there's the theory of the final watch from 3 to 5, meaning that's when the veil is thinnest.
That's the witching hour, they call it.
Right. So that is the time to speak to God. That's the time to speak to demons. That's the time to speak to whatever on that side. Right. So I'm so blessed to be awake at that time. It was freaking dark. But and stuff happens, and it does there too. So it's just bizarre. It's so freaking crazy. Yeah. Talk the shit, talk to, I take our shepherd Luna camping with us with the hopes of her being an early warning if something comes around. She's still somewhat afraid of the dark, LOL. But so here's something that I can bring up, David. Like Jules' experience with the bluff charge and whatnot at his house.
Oh yeah.
And I've seen this numerous times and heard this numerous times from other people that had dogs and experiences. The dogs don't do shit because they know a predator.
Right.
And they're like, I'm not barking at all. I watched this video of this couple whose car ran out of gas, or they were stuck for some reason. They had 2 dogs with them, and there's just this howling in the freaking background, right? Not all night, but for quite a while. And it didn't sound like coyotes. It didn't sound like wolves. All the stuff.
Right.
Because I'm thinking if it was coyotes or wolves, dogs would at least respond.
Right.
Maybe not respond, but they would like act like they were interested or wanted to respond. But dogs have a tendency to not.
Mm-mm.
They're just like, nope, I don't want nothing to do with this.
And
and that's telling to me.
Right. I have 2 bloodhounds here that they're trained for search and rescue. And these dogs will be dead. They'll be asleep on the chair, snoring like there's no tomorrow. And then in a second, they're at the back door. They're scratching, they're growling, they're jumping up, they're barking. And I have already opened the door and left them out. And they stand on the patio and they just cower.
Yeah, like, and they're not going anywhere. They lower
down to the ground. They just stand there. They won't leave the concrete. And then they're real quick to come back in the house.
Right.
And the first thing I do, because I'm crazy, is I come in the house, I grab a gun and a flashlight, and I go outside. That's what I do.
Why wouldn't you?
I don't know.
I get you.
I grab a flashlight and a gun and I go outside. And you can feel that something is there.
Yeah. I mean, again, because we're all energy, right?
Yes, everything's energy.
And you can feel, especially something that big. Like you just know it. Like something's there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's like, because they're putting off something.
I always say it's like when you're watching TV and you have your back to the doorway, and
Yep.
you can tell that somebody has walked in, but you haven't seen them or heard them yet. But
Yeah.
just you can feel the energy shift in the room when somebody else
Yeah,
walks in.
absolutely. Because
That
we all
is
have a toroidal
yes.
field.
And that is the feeling I get when we're out in
Yeah.
the woods. I
That's
say
right.
I've said it. I know you've heard me say it. Somebody just walked into the room,
Yeah, for
and you're
sure.
just like, "Yeah, they
Yep.
did." Like,
Yes,
I
they
can
did.
feel it too. Right.
Yep.
Mhm.
Constantly. I mean, you just know, and you gotta people need to embrace that gut feeling
Yeah,
of like, when someone's watching you, or when
absolutely.
something's watching you, and even if you're wrong, what the hell does it matter? If you
Mhm.
think they are, be alert, be ready, right?
'Cause I know
Don't
this
don't
morning.
don't ignore it.
No. I had taken Tucker outside to go to the bathroom at 4 o'clock this morning, and I'm out there with my flashlight and the dog, because I don't wanna step and poop. So I'm out there with the flashlight, and we had something thrown at us, and Tucker jumped. I mean, literally, it scared him. He jumped and turned around and just stared at the woods, and I was like, "Hurry up and pee. Let's go. Hurry up and pee." Like, and then something else came and was thrown at us. I don't know if it was a rock or what it was because I didn't see it, but you could hear it hit the ground. And then I was like, "Okay, we're going in the house. Like, come on, Tucker, let's go." Like, I'm done. Like,
Yeah.
but I don't like I guess it's not that I necessarily feel something negative. It's just that you get that uneasy feeling that you're being watched, and it is 4 in the morning and you're out there by yourself with the dog. It's not like I'm carrying my gun in my house coat.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's just I don't know if
I
it's a
mean, for me too, in this world that we live in, like, this type of stuff peaks up my primal. Like, I feel if we always complain about everyone's got phones and the TVs and all the technology that we deal with, right? But
yeah,
this stuff, I mean, what if Sasquatch and these things are just nothing but like a representation of something more primal, like a connection to a time when humanity wasn't the dominant force on earth, right?
right.
Um like when we shared the planet with other beings, like I brought up, there were 6 different things, like, and there's theories about some of those being, I don't know if they hold water, but like the Neanderthal, here, I'm going to plant another seed in people, the Neanderthal predation theory. Look that shit up. That'll freaking make your head explode. Um, eh, Whether or not it's true or not, frankly, we won't know. We
No,
don't know.
we'll never know.
And we might never know unless we can start time traveling, right? Um, but either way, um, some some of these beings that we spent time with on this planet, like, ingrains itself in our DNA, right?
Mhm.
Again, it's the uncanny valley. Have you ever heard that theory?
Yeah.
So again, if you haven't, check it out. Why are we afraid of shit? Certain things, right? It's the uncanny valley. It's like it's innate in us that we don't like things that aren't like us. Yeah,
Right.
that's because of why, right? Um, but if Sasquatch or these things are real, um, bottom line is it challenges the modern narrative that we as Homo sapiens are the undisputed masters of the earth. And people
Mm.
don't like that, right? It would suggest that there's still things out there that we don't understand. This is like I keep saying this stuff ad nauseum,
Yeah.
and that they exist alongside of us in the shadows, and that freaks people right out.
Well, it
Um,
is scary.
you know, um, yeah. So these are things that represent our ancient past, and but they could be something. They could be a sign of something about our future. I mean, in a world where technology dominates, where we seem to be moving further away from the natural and the spiritual.
Mhm.
These creatures remind us of something that we might be losing, and our connection to the unknown, to the wild places like Allegheny or Teton or wherever, places both outside and within ourselves.
Right.
Like, think about it, humanity's always been drawn to mystery,
Yeah.
to the unexplored shit. I mean, our whole existence about is exploring stuff, and this is no different.
No.
From the earliest days when our, ancestors looked up at the stars and wondered, damn, is this a flat earth or is it curved? Right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
what is the firmament?
Hmm.
I mean, and wondered, what's out there, to now when we look into the forests and mountains and ask the same questions. That's what we do,
Mhm.
right? We are wired to search for these answers, or at least some of us are, right? But in a world where everything seems to be explained away by science, science is settled or dismissed by skeptics, right? Which
Mhm.
I feel like we need to be skeptical, of course,
Absolutely.
right? But the evidence of creatures like Sasquatch brings back that sense of wonder and awe, possibility, the aliens, the dog man.
It's magical.
Maybe it's exactly why these creatures are so important. Maybe that's it. Maybe that's all it is. Maybe none of it's real, right? But in a time when we think we have all the answers, they remind us that we don't. Like we said, we don't know shit. We don't. And they remind us that we're still mysteries in the world. And it's way beyond this, but these are the walls that get broken down when it's like we call certain things, like you started with paranormal stuff, but I always say that my gateway drug was Sasquatch. Right?
Yeah.
It just reminds us that we don't know shit. And it reminds us that there's still mysteries out there. Things that just can't be quantified, measured, or easily dismissed.
Mm-hmm.
If you're being honest, right? And maybe that's exactly what we need. Primal instinct. May have lost this over the years. I think I can save your life and you stay tapped into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's very personal for people as well. Very personal.
I think that's because everybody's experiences are so different.
Yeah, I mean, they're the same, but everyone
different.
gives it its own twist, right?
Right.
Because many people that have experienced Sasquatch or experienced something that they can't explain,
Right.
It's not just a fleeting moment of curiosity. It's just not. It's life-changing. Like Jewel had his life changed Saturday night. Like I had him, like he's heard a whoop, he's heard in response to a knock, he's heard a knock in response to a knock. I've shown him, we have Blair Witch fucking sculptures hanging from trees and shit that, like, what's going on here, right? Piles of shit that don't fit the type of animals that are supposed to be around.
Right.
Things like that, right? But it's not just, it's straight life-changing for people. And people report feeling a shift in the way they view the world. Right? How many times have you heard that? I mean, you've been doing this a long time.
I often say Bigfoot changed my entire life. In 30 seconds, my entire life changed.
So it shifts the way that they see the world and how they understand their place in it.
Right.
It forces them to rethink freaking everything that they thought they knew about reality. And I'm telling you that, like, I invite people all the time to go out and they just don't do it. And I think a lot of it's scared that their paradigm's just going to get shattered.
Because it is.
You know, that they thought they knew everything they thought they knew. And about, frankly, here's the other thing, about what's possible and about what might be out there. And how that, like, you know, what we're capable of even.
Right.
You know, and truly, to me, that's what the real impact of Sasquatch, Dogman, Nessie, Champ, Mothman, the Jersey Devil, you name them. That's the real impact that these things have, right? And maybe that's how it's supposed to be.
True.
I mean, regardless, if we figure out that they don't exist, the fact remains that the search for the unknown isn't going to stop. The search for truth, all that change, it just changes people, and it's never going to stop. It opens their minds to new things. It breaks down barriers in conventional thinking. Critical thinking is supreme, but so many people don't do it, and it encourages us to keep asking questions. And that's what, like, this is literally what my life is about at this point. Because in the end of the day, isn't that what it's all about?
Yeah.
It's about the journey, not the destination, to use all these freaking bullshit cliche things, you know. It's about the pursuit of knowledge. It's about the pursuit of knowledge and willingness to step into the unknown.
Yeah.
You know, and the courage to, you know, face whatever we might. It's a fucking presidential speech by JFK or something.
Right.
You know? Right. But that's so real. And so many people nowadays don't embrace that. So these are the people that are doing that. These are the people that, this is my tribe. This is what I want to be a part of.
Right.
Right. Whether it's cryptids in the woods, a government freaking cover up, spiritual battle. I mean, that's been raging since the beginning of time. Right.
Right.
Where does this leave us? What do we do with all this freaking information that we absorb? You know,
life was
the sightings, all the sightings, you know, do we just dismiss them?
Yep.
Seriously.
No, you can't.
Or do you open your minds to the possibility that there's more out there than what we've been led to believe?
Right.
But that's a question that only you can answer for yourself, right?
And everybody has to answer it for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yep.
So, yeah, man, that's my soapbox. And that's literally the whole reason I started this podcast.
Yeah.
So
you do a great job.
I'm going to be doing better too. So,
oh boy.
Yeah. I mean, you know,
big things coming.
I'm just always trying to tweak things so that it's just better and easier. I kind of took a week off this past week. Well,
yeah, there wasn't
I was out in the woods for half of it. Huh?
I said there wasn't a Sasquatch Sunday this week, was there?
There wasn't. I mean, there is, it just wasn't published. But at the end of the day, everything will be back Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, Sunday. Sorry, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. This coming week, everything will reset. I had to take a break. I had to take a break because it's a lot editing and all that shit. You know, it's a lot of time.
Yeah.
So I had to give myself some grace to recover from my our expedition. And then I'm going to DC this coming week. So I'll be Sunday. I leave from Sunday to Wednesday. I'll be in DC for a freaking conference.
Oh, delightful.
Yeah.
Bigfoot conference?
No, actually it's kind of like my real job.
Oh.
But I have another podcast that is involved with that too.
Oh, nice.
So I am a person that's getting paid to podcast, which is nice. It's just not nice. It's not broadcasting seeds. It's a different one. So yeah, but it's all national security stuff. So I get all that shit and then mix it into national security and
they kind of go hand in hand. If you
they do, there's a lot of crossover aspect. So.
Absolutely.
So yeah,
and our government's always trying to hide shit from us. So
oh my god,
who knows? Who knows?
I don't work for the government, but I'm government adjacent. That's what I like to say.
That's a good way to put it.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
So
tell us you'll come back sometime.
Absolutely. Whenever. Just let me know.
All right.
And we can talk about all kinds of shit
God. We could deep dive that Denver airport. I find that amazing.
My God, it really is.
I've seen shows about that, and it's
really terrifying.
Quite interesting. Yeah, it is actually terrifying.
Yeah, it is.
Absolutely.
So,
well, I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Thank you, David. He says it was a great show. Have a great night.
Yes, you too, David. Mark is out there somewhere.
Yeah, Mark's out there somewhere.
Who knows where he's at?
Yeah.
I know. Where was he going? Kentucky?
I think he was going to Kentucky.
Nice job, you two. Yes. Thank you, sir.
Thanks, buddy.
But I think he was on his way to Kentucky.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I know that there's a lot of things going on in the world right now. And right now we have a major hurricane hitting Florida. And I just want to put out there that I hope everybody is being safe. And I hope you're being careful. And I guess we'll see what happens when the
dust settles.
When the dust settles, we'll see how it looks.
The water drains.
Yep. And the winds subside. We'll find out.
Absolutely. For sure. I mean, they're in the thick of it right now.
Yeah. People say we're crazy for going in the woods and looking for Bigfoot, but those crazy people stayed for a major
Florida. Let's be honest. You're a special breed to live in Florida anyway.
Well,
as far as I'm concerned. It's too freaking hot. And they got weird freaking apes running around there too. So
I know, right? Yeah. Really smelly, skanky.
Skunky ones. Hopefully they make it through this hurricane too.
I hope so. So thank you everybody for joining us tonight. In 2 weeks, I don't even know who's on in 2 weeks. You'll see, because I'll put it out there. So
it'll be somebody.
I don't pay enough attention to what's happening next. So have a good night, everybody.
Take care.
This has been a CARC Universal